Am I crazy? I apologize for the outpouring of my thoughts. I am a 19-year-old female, and my partner is a 20-year-old female. We have been together since May 2024 and are very close, perhaps closer than I sometimes wish to be. Both of us struggle with mental health challenges, and we have both attended therapy for various issues, some similar and others different. She has been in therapy longer than I, as I recently had to stop due to financial constraints, and my feeling that I no longer require therapy for the original reason I sought it out. She has explored different types of therapy, including dialectical behavior therapy, a form of behavioral therapy. Additionally, she has been diagnosed with ADHD and autism. While friends suggest that I exhibit signs of ADHD, that is the extent of my diagnosis. I also experience some speech difficulties and have undergone speech therapy. I tend to stutter when I am anxious or distressed. English is not my first language, and as a Filipino, I find American culture somewhat perplexing. My girlfriend is white, blonde, and attractive, giving her certain privileges that she sometimes is unaware of. We face a number of challenges, but our love for each other is strong. Today, we had a disagreement. I asked her if I could spend time with my male friend and his girlfriend. I identify as a lesbian, and this male friend has been a constant in my life, supporting me through difficult times, including moments of vulnerability regarding past trauma. Our relationship is strictly platonic, and we have never crossed any boundaries. My girlfriend experiences anxiety regarding my friendships, which I understand stems from her trauma. She struggles with the idea of me spending time with anyone, including friends I may speak to online while gaming. I cannot express that I find this unfair due to the validity of her feelings. This was a dynamic I also experienced with my family, which has improved primarily because I include her in family gatherings. However, she often responds with anger, claiming that I cause her distress and that I make choices that contribute to her emotional state, even though she assures me that I can do what I want. I try to keep her informed by texting and communicating, yet she reacts negatively or gives me the silent treatment whenever I spend time with friends. This stems from an incident where I simply met friends after work to reconnect, having not seen them since our paths diverged for college. I had notified her that I would arrive at her apartment by 7 p.m. because she wished for me to stay over that night. When I attempted to text her during the gathering, it was challenging since we were engrossed in conversations and sharing a meal. It felt disrespectful to be on my phone while engaging with everyone present. Regardless, I made efforts to reassure her and provide updates. As 7 p.m. approached, I was preparing to leave, but we were all tidying up the space, and I did not want to leave the mess for others to handle. Thus, I took the time to clean up and informed her that I would be running a bit late. Unfortunately, due to an accident on the route, I arrived an hour and a half late. When I reached her, I immediately apologized and attempted to explain the situation. She became angry, questioning my tardiness despite my prior notification of my expected arrival time, and expressed a lack of trust in me, suggesting she was uncertain if she even wanted to see me anymore. This reaction has become a recurring theme, despite her earlier promise to refrain from issuing such ultimatums and instead channel her feelings toward someone who seemingly cares more. She claims that I do not communicate adequately, which puzzles me because I try, although texting and driving while speeding to reach her is not safe. The typical drive lasts 40 minutes to an hour, but the accident extended that time significantly. Nevertheless, she insists that the situation is entirely my fault. When I asked her if I could hang out with my male friend and his girlfriend, I prefaced this question with, "Hey, can I ask you something?" which is our way of checking in regarding our mental capacity to manage an issue. I conveyed my friend's invitation. I was at work when I received it, and her immediate response was to ask who he was, indicating she had forgotten him. A moment later, she followed up with, "Hello?" I informed her who he was, and she questioned whether he was the person I had danced with in a TikTok video. The dance was merely playful, and nothing romantic occurred. This trend happened before I even met her. I reassured her that nothing inappropriate would happen again since I respect her feelings. I also expressed discomfort regarding her interacting closely with her friends, which she has since ceased doing. However, she argues that my past actions are the issue and that I believe it is acceptable. If I do not share her opinion, she becomes upset, despite saying she values diverse viewpoints that challenge her perspective, such as politically. We have previously encountered similar arguments when I referred to my best friend, who is straight, engaged, and expecting a child, as my platonic soulmate. When I broached the topic of seeing my male friend and his girlfriend, she became distant and justified it by claiming she was unsure how to communicate her feelings, and that I had not created a safe environment for her to express herself, even though I directly asked how she felt. She stated she felt triggered as soon as I mentioned it. Because of her reactions, I have gradually reduced my social interactions with friends or acquaintances. In contrast, she frequently goes out and maintains regular contact with others. Her roommate is her best friend. Additionally, she struggles with borderline personality disorder, among other challenges. After a period of coldness following my inquiry, she indicated a desire to discuss her feelings about a completely different subject, ignoring my initial question and feelings. Following her indifference, I expressed my wish to drop the matter but sent her a few responses before I called to discuss what she wanted. We have previously discussed her tendency to monopolize conversations, a behavior she promised to improve. After addressing her feelings, I expressed my concern about her failing to respond to me over text and how she had promised to communicate openly with me. Instead, she remained silent and suggested that I should empathize with her situation, citing her trauma as an explanation for her behavior, which was not my main point. I was simply emphasizing that she was engaging in a behavior she had previously pledged to avoid. She argued that I was making her feel a certain way and that she had already been struggling emotionally, which she had communicated. Yet, she has been feeling emotionally unwell for most of the week, and I want to engage with someone who treats me as I wish to be treated in conversation. She ultimately placed the blame for her conduct on me, suggesting that I should not expect too much from her. I spent about an hour sitting in my car after work and had yet to return home when we continued arguing, ending with both of us upset. She was angry that I challenged her and expected her to respond in a specific way based on her earlier assurances. She pointed out that I was to blame for wanting to spend time with my friend, which affected her emotions, leaving me feeling unreasonable and unheard. After we hung up, I returned home, took a long shower, and wrote this. She later called to express her disappointment that I did not reach out to her and anticipated my comforting presence since her roommate was absent. It feels as though we have focused primarily on her feelings while neglecting my own. I sought information about my feelings and questioned my sanity due to the way she makes me feel, discovering concepts related to emotional dominance and pocket partners. I feel incredibly weary, as if I provide her with more support than I receive for myself. While this may be acceptable, I feel tired and trapped. I struggle to express my thoughts because of my speech difficulties, and when she overwhelms me with her words, I often feel lost, confused, and unable to comprehend her logic. Story 2. My partner, F38, and I am 36, are stuck in a negativity cycle. How do I break out and become more empathic again? My partner, 38 female, and I, 36 male, have been together for more than 14 years and have a 3-year-old child. Currently, we are engaged in ongoing disputes, and it feels like an unending cycle of negativity that we cannot escape. Her health situation is not improving, and I find myself feeling increasingly depressed. A recurring source of conflict arises from her perception that I take personal offense whenever she mentions or critiques aspects of our life together. The issue is that she seems to criticize everything and has specific expectations about nearly every detail, at least that is how it feels to me. For instance, in our household, I apparently do something wrong every time I wash the clothes, hang them to dry, load the dishwasher, organize items in the fridge, or hang my jacket by the door. It has reached a point where, if I do anything, she often rearranges or corrects my actions and does it herself. Every item in our apartment has an assigned place, and if something is moved, even if everything appears tidy, she feels compelled to clean up after me. I try to remember what she prefers for our home, but I cannot keep up with it all the time, especially with a small child around. I am often told I do not choose the right clothes for our daughter, only in terms of color, nor do I select suitable outfits for myself. She suggests my color choices and combinations are poor. She frequently remarks on my wardrobe, claiming I don't change my jacket often enough. Additionally, she corrects my language when I communicate with our child, citing excessive questioning and the use of but, and insists on specific phrasing, such as, I would like, instead of I want. In discussions, she feels as though she constantly needs to extract my thoughts, as I do not always derive information on my own. I do not meticulously plan everything out, and my contributions to our social life are insufficient. We relocated here due to her limited job opportunities, and most of our friends are from her network. I had to leave many of my friends behind, and since moving during the pandemic, it has been challenging to establish a new social circle, especially now with a child and work responsibilities. She often claims that I feel attacked for no reason, and that she cannot say anything without triggering me. One possible underlying issue is her struggle with low self-esteem, depression, or burnout, along with recently diagnosed health issues, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Her low self-esteem and mental health challenges have not emerged only recently. They were already present when we met 14 years ago, although not as severe or pervasive. For instance, when we began dating, I ended up writing nearly all of her master's thesis, despite working on my own at the same time, as she struggled with decision-making, prioritization, and was often reluctant to write anything unless it was perfectly articulated. Her current situation is genuinely dire. She is perpetually fatigued due to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, highly sensitive due to hormonal fluctuations, and consistently moody due to her work struggles, which contribute to her feeling substantially depressed. Her workplace is toxic, offering little hope for improvement. She has a highly specialized profession, making it unlikely to find another job if she chooses to leave. She shows reluctance to consider alternatives when discussing different opportunities. I started attending therapy, prompted by her criticisms of my communication style and my desire to improve. We have also had a few joint sessions. When the therapist suggested she consider pursuing individual therapy, she opted to see a colleague of the therapist, partially covered by our health insurance. After a couple of meetings, she decided that this therapist was not suitable, as the process seemed more about conversation without a clear plan or actionable steps. While I agree that she should not work with someone she does not feel comfortable with, she has since made no effort to find a new therapist. I do not blame her for this, but I believe it would be beneficial. Our therapist offered to assist with locating a new professional, and I have preselected some options that might suit her needs, specialized in chronic pain, which aligns with her Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Yet she cannot muster the energy for this due to her depression, burnout, and health issues. In my attempt to alleviate her burden as much as possible, I try to manage all the physical tasks, such as taking our daughter to daycare, to give her ample time to rest. On most weekends, I take our daughter out for various activities to allow her some relaxation. However, on every occasion, she emphasizes that she has to manage everything within our relationship, child rearing, social engagements, gift planning, and more, blaming me for her mental overload. She has an extensive calendar where she meticulously outlines every detail. I genuinely appreciate the effort she puts in, but it often feels like she does not acknowledge the contributions I make to our household. Additionally, her planning seems excessively detailed, stemming from her perfectionist tendencies and difficulty in making decisions. For instance, wrapping a gift can take 1 to 2 hours. Finally, she does not express any affection toward me, not even verbally, avoids intimacy, such as cuddling, touching, or being physically close, and frequently escalates tensions, feeling deeply disappointed after conflicts, resulting in her not speaking to me for several days. Conversely, I apologize immediately for anything I may have done wrong and actively seek to identify aspects I could adjust for the future. This dynamic feels like emotional manipulation or punishment for minor issues that I would not even consider disputing. I still love her deeply, but I find myself growing increasingly despondent about our situation and feeling uncertain about the next steps. I am starting to prefer to take care of our daughter alone because her presence complicates matters and makes me feel inadequate. I cannot endure the constant rejection any longer. I yearn for closeness with her instead of the prevailing sentiments of being unwanted and disrespected. I have a strong need for harmony, which may not be the most constructive trait of my personality, and the complete silence following a disagreement profoundly affects me. How can I break free from this cycle of negativity? I understand that I can change many aspects of my own perspective and behavior, but it feels increasingly entangled with my core identity, making it progressively challenging to maintain an empathetic relationship.